immune response happening. And so you might hear the term leaky gut as well.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Heard of it? Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's basically with the inflammation, you get more leaky gut. So that barrier is not working as well
Hmm.
in preventing um, like unhealthy things from entering the host site, like bacteria
Mm.
components and then toxins, and it's general very not very happy
Yeah,
intestinal.
like it's just not protecting you as well. So,
Yeah, yeah. So if you see it, if you think of it as like the wall of a castle, like it has too many holes in it,
okay,
it's
yeah,
not
that's
doing
that's a
very
good
well.
analogy.
Yeah. So basically, I'm trying to see if that sauerkraut can kind of reduce that permeability or leakiness of the monolayer. So
Yeah, let's just talk about your research project.
Okay,
I
yeah,
think it's so cool.
yeah. I
Or
guess
if
I
you want to
can
introduce yourself.
I can introduce myself. Okay, yeah, my name's Lei Wei. I'm currently a postdoc scholar at the University of California, working in Dr. Maria Marco's lab in the Department of Food Science and Technology. And my primary research interests focus on lactic acid bacteria and also in fermented food and how they microbial contribution of metabolites and compounds can contribute to the health benefits of consuming the fermented food. For example, maybe their intestinal barrier protective effect, or you might have to hear the very popular term of gut health. Um, but there's a lot of complexity to that, what's covered under gut health. And I guess more recently, I was had a paper published looking at sauerkraut and the bioactive compound in sauerkraut and their intestinal barrier protective effect. Um, so I guess the reason we picked sauerkraut is that it is a simple recipe. You really only need shredded cabbage and salt. And the bacteria, lactic acid bacteria that does the fermentation is already coming from the cabbage leaves and the environment. And so we are interested or were interested to see if sauerkraut has any intestinal barrier protective effect because there at the time of starting the project, there was only really one other clinical study in, oops, sorry, my headphone just
Oh, it's out of
ran out of
battery.
battery. Um,
can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. I changed my
Cool.
laptop. So my
Oh no, you're all good.
headphone ran out of battery. We're talking so much. So yeah, so there was so in order to really kind of verify or show that a certain fermented food has health benefits, you really need to go to like human trials. And
Mm.
for sauerkraut at the time of the project, there was really only one or two other studies or clinical trials. One clinical trial was working with patients with irritable bowel syndrome, and they found that giving them sauerkraut, whether pasteurized, which kills off all the live microbes, or unpasteurized, where you will have live microbes, they both improve the symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome, or IBS.
Mm.
And so that really leads to our interest and curiosity whether what component of that sauerkraut is contributing to that benefit. Is it the microbes? Is it the fiber? Is it just the nutrients? Or is it the microbes metabolites that they produce during their growth and fermentation of the cabbage? And so we decided to go with sauerkraut and we fermented and prepared them in lab. We have two groups. One is just a control group where we call it no bacteria added because the bacteria come from the cabbage leaves and the
That's
environment
like the
already.
natural, like
Yeah, the
nothing
lateral
added
wild
to it.
fermentation. Um, And then the second group where we add a specific strain of lactic acid bacteria, which is Lactobacillus plantarum, strain NCIMB 826. Um,
And you
because
grow that, you grow that in the lab and then you introduce it to the,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, we introduce it on day three of the fermentation. Um, we our lab work with that strain a lot. We have shown previously that in mice models that it has intestinal barrier protective effect,
And what
and
does that mean?
other
What is intestinal barrier uh
protective effect.
what
Yeah,
protective effect? What can you explain that?
yes. So I guess maybe I'll step back to kind of digging a little bit on the term gut health,
Hmm.
because that's kind of complicated as well. So when I think you see labels and stuff on fermented foods or probiotic that's like improving gut health, but there's multiple facets to that. So we have, of course, our digestive tract. You have the host, our own cells, but we also have the microbiota, which is really intimately connected. The microbes, bacteria help us to digest the food that we eat. They produce vitamins and other compounds that our hosts, our
Mm.
own cells, may not be capable of making. Of course, we have immune cells as well at that interface of um, like microbiota and host to both control and mediate, like because they defend also in case we have some pathogens that we accidentally ate.
Hmm.
So the term gut health could be that, okay, helps you to don't have any digestive tract symptoms. It could be that the microbes or bacteria in your gut microbiota is in a healthier state, that it's not triggering your immune system to like overreact and have inflammation. Um,
Mm.
or it is the barrier function is that layer of intestinal epithelial cells that really kind of prevents things you don't want to go enter a bloodstream going into the body. So, for example, it keeps out like potential microbial toxins and uh, bacteria themselves. So you don't want bacteria floating into your blood. You get sepsis.
Hmm. Get
So that's
stressed.
really bad. Um, so so I'm looking at intestinal barrier function. So whether that layer is like whole and working properly. But I don't really do that in an animal model or in human. I do that with an in vitro cell culture model
Mm.
of intestinal epithelial cells. Um, so this is the in vitro model that I use for the sauerkraut study. I basically take intestinal epithelial cells, grow them on like a plastic monolayer, like plate,
Hmm.
and then you have like, let's see, a apical side and a basolateral chamber that both have like media which feeds the cell. And so the apical would be in similar to like the luminal side of your gut. So that's where your digestion happens, and that's where all the microbes are. And then the
Mm.
basolateral bottom side of that monolayer would be like your body side, like the serosal blood side, which you want to in our body, we don't want microbes there because it's a
Hmm.
sterile environment inside our bloodstream. And so
Mm.
this is the in vitro cell culture model that we are using to see whether sauerkraut has any benefits. And we actually, to show the benefits, we add like kind of information. So we kind of treat the intestinal epithelial cell in the cell culture dish with pro-inflammatory cytokines. So TNF alpha and interferon gamma. Those are the two cytokines that are produced by, usually in your body, produced by immune cells in the onset of inflammation. So if you, in your gut, for example, if you have inflammation like those cytokine production and immune cells moving around, your gut barrier becomes leakier because the intestinal cells gets destroyed and you
Mm.
have more holes because it's
Hmm.
all that immune response happening. And so you might hear the term leaky gut as well.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Part of it, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's basically with the inflammation, you get more leaky gut, so that barrier is not working as well
Hmm.
in preventing um like unhealthy things from entering the host site, like bacteria
Mm.
components and then toxins, and it's general very not very happy
Yeah,
intestinal.
like it's just not protecting you as well. So,
Yeah, yeah. So if you see it, if you think of it as like the wall of a castle, like it has too many holes in it,
okay,
it's
yeah,
not
that's
doing
that's a
very
good
well.
analogy.
Yeah. So basically, I'm trying to see if that sauerkraut can kind of reduce that permeability or leakiness of the monolayer. So I'm trying to see if um, with the sauerkraut pretreatment or
Hmm.
exposure could kind of make that castle wall
You're putting all
stronger.
the bricks back on the castle
Yeah,
wall, and
yeah,
that's what the sauerkraut's doing to your
yeah,
stomach.
yeah.
Okay.
Or trying to do. We'll see.
Trying
And
to
I
do,
don't think it's
yeah.
100%, but it is better than without the sauerkraut.
Yeah,
So it's doing
definitely.
something.
Hmm.
But yeah, so that's the model that I was using in that study. And so we did find that yes, it has some beneficial effects of the whole sauerkraut homogenate. So I basically this might be a bit weird. So I took like some sauerkraut, about like 10 grams. So I guess it would be like a spoonful, tablespoonful, with a
Hmm.
little bit of brine. And we have to homogenize them first, which means I basically hammer them
Mm.
for like into pieces and stuff, or mash them, kind of.
Yeah, you just
And yeah, it was nice stress relieving. Very loud in the lab, unfortunately. But and then once we take the juice from that
Hmm.
homogenate, and then those gets kind of filtered and adjusted with pH because sauerkraut is sour. And for the intestinal cell model I'm using, I'm concerned that having it's too sour, the cell might not be happy because in your a small intestine, the pH is usually closer to neutral. It's
Hmm.
not like I think the sauerkraut pH was like 3. It's very
Hmm.
acidic. But you want some the cells I'm using might not be happy. So had you adjust the pH, filter it because I don't want any bacteria growing. I only want their metabolites or
Mm.
chemical compounds in the sauerkraut, as well as the compounds from the cabbage or sauerkraut itself, because the plant matrix also has a lot of the chemicals and compounds. And so that mixture is then applied to the intestinal epithelial cell model. And basically, we did find that, yeah, with the sauerkraut, there is some protective effect, but we don't really know which compound because there's so much metabolites there. So we did metabolomics of the sauerkraut homogenate to see kind of, first of all, what kind of amino acids or yeah, a lot of amino acids, sugars, and like it's really high in phenolic compounds. Also, we're trying to figure out what kind of metabolites or chemical compounds are there in the sauerkraut. And we kind of picked a few just to test, um, to in back into our kind of intestinal cell model. Um, and it doesn't quite fully like recapitulate the effect of the whole homogeneous ferment, which of course we only pick maybe like four, which is lactic acid, indole 3 lactate, phenolactic acid, and oh my gosh, where's the fourth one? Oh, sorry, not the fourth one. It's a mixture of all three. Is the fourth option because we want to
Mm.
see if the effects is additive or not. And so, yeah, we did find that the individual bioactive compounds is not as good as the whole ferment at protecting the intestinal barrier, but they do have some effect. Um, but it kind of makes sense because the whole sauerkraut matrix is very complex. There's probably compounds or metabolites that we haven't actually identified that could be really doing something. And so, but it is still a good like beginning preliminary study to show that yes, there's some effect, but there's a lot more data to dig into to figure out which
Mm.
metabolite is doing what. Because I'm imagining that each metabolite will trigger a different signaling response because you have different receptors on the intestinal cells that could be activated and they could be triggering different like I don't know activities inside the cell to make them stronger or weaker and
Mhm.
so but there's it's a helpful I don't know like hopeful start to learning about the mechanistic details of sauerkraut's intestinal barrier protective effect um but there's a lot more to learn still um and I think after the study was published, there was a couple more clinical trials. I think there was two was observational, like looking at sauerkraut consumption in athletes, like high
Mm.
performing athletes, to see whether they help their changes their like gut microbiota composition or like their performance.
Mhm.
And they do find some changes. I don't quite remember off the top of my head like what the changes are. But I think that shows that really eating fermented foods is going to kind of impact your gut microbiota, at least ev a little bit, like transiently. Maybe if you
Mhm.
continue eating it, the changes could be more
Like over
prolonged.
time, like over a
Yeah,
couple years, you'll
prolonged.
see like
Yeah.
more beneficial
hmm
effects from it.
Yeah, and it's highly variable by individual how you respond.
Right.
Sometimes with sudden intake of so much fiber, you could have digestive problems that might last a week or so, and
Mm.
then you get used to it, and then maybe it will be better. So I think more human trials are needed for like in different populations, not just healthy individual, in people who with different gut symptoms, for example, that will be needed because you don't also like how much to eat. Like you don't really want to eat like huge bowl a day. That's a little bit too much. It is acidic and a lot of fiber if you're not used to it. But it could be like some population is like, oh yeah, you can eat like 2 tablespoons. That's fine. And
Like a little side dish.
side dish,
Yeah.
yeah. I usually with any food or anything, I feel like moderation is a key. You don't really
Moderation's
want to
always a key for everything.
always a key. But yeah, so there's a lot more things to do. And of course, we also compared a commercial sauerkraut just from the supermarket. They also
Hmm.
have beneficial effect, but we didn't, there's so many products out there. We didn't test everything. So it could be
That's
different brands,
interesting. Hmm.
has different like effects. And also
Well,
now
there's
you,
different
you can have,
ingredients too, right? For like every brand. For
hmm
like, because what you really want is just salt and like cabbage for
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
But
So
they
did you
act,
only, or
mhm,
when you were looking for brands to test, did
mhm,
you specifically pick like only salt and cabbage or any with other additives? Or
mhm.
how, what was the selection process for that?
Uh, We only picked the salt and cabbage, the most traditional one, because
Hmm.
we want to start simple. There's definitely you can have like carrots and ginger. They have their own like metabolites, right? Especially
Hmm.
ginger, gingerol. There's already health benefits for those, and they could affect also which microbes gets does the fermentation as well. So that could impact the outcome of the sauerkraut. But yeah, we started just from one brand, the traditional sauerkraut, with just cabbage and salt. Um, I would like to test more because I'm kind of
Hmm.
curious from brand to brand, even their most simple basic sauerkraut. I'm curious if they're different. And then maybe going to more complex of adding different like dill or like other
Oh, or
herbs,
like black
cooking.
pepper or like garlic or yeah, all
Yeah,
these,
so
yeah.
they all have like their own like potential medicinal properties, and also they can impact which bacteria is doing the fermentation. Also,
Mm.
each production facility will likely have different strings of the species. Like I think the species that usually does the fermentation will likely remain similar
Hmm.
from different facilities or brands. Usually for sauerkraut, you have you start with like glucanol stock and then usually that gets succeeded and transition into more like plantarum and then if you let the fermentation goes a bit longer, like there's could be other microbes. But
Mm.
also I don't know how long they let them ferment. That can change because on the shelf we don't really know how long it stayed there in the refrigeration section, and that can change how many live microbes are there, and that will affect
Mm.
like the metabolites and stuff. And if you have more or less live microbe, the live microbes you eat it with the sauerkraut, and they
Hmm.
could have different effects too. So it's there's a lot more to test,
Yeah, there's so
but
many
they're
like different factors that you never really think about. Like
yeah,
how long
yeah,
was this made? Where did they pick this cabbage? And then like
yeah,
how
yeah,
did the shipping? I don't know. There's so
yeah,
many
yeah.
things. And
Like the
then
cultivar, the cabbage could affect
Mhm.
it. Like I think there might be seasonal changes too. I remember for not for sauerkraut. Well, I didn't. I think I remember reading a paper on kimchi that the different type
Mhm.
of cabbage cultivar, the time, the season can also affect like the bacteria that in the fermented like product,
Wow.
and of course the taste, um,
Yeah.
because the bacteria are the ones producing the aroma compounds and metabolites and also other. Um, yeah, nutrients. So, um, yeah, it's cool. It's a lot of things to look into.
Yeah,
But
no, that is super cool. And then you mentioned like the aroma.
mhm,
I like to call that the funk. So what is that? Like, so like when you open up a jar of kimchi or like sauerkraut
mhm.
or like even kombucha, there's like a smell to it. Like what is going on there, you know?
Uh, yeah, it's a good question. I actually haven't looked into that much. But I know that usually with general fermented food, if you
Mhm.
have yeast and mold that participate in the fermentation, they tend to produce a lot more of the aroma and like taste
Mhm.
compounds with esters and uh what was the other one? Some other like chemical compound that contribute to the smell.
Mm,
In sauerkraut, um I mean, it definitely smells acidic, right? So it's from the
definitely.
lactic acid because it's a lactic acid fermentation. So the bacteria produces the lactic acid along with maybe a little bit acetic acid and other organic acid. And that both kind of contributes to safety because it drops the pH really low within the first 2 days. And you want to have that because any pH below 4.6 is really necessary for to prevent like Clostridium botulinum growth, botulism, so you don't get
Botulism,
botulism
yeah. That'll
in
make
your
you
fermented
sick.
food. So you need to drop that pH really like quickly and fast. But at the same time, you don't want it to be too sour, otherwise it's not edible.
Yeah, it's just not
I
going to be
think
tasty.
so I think my sauerkraut because especially the one I added plantarum bacteria to, it was too sour. I don't think it will, even if I could
Mm.
taste it, it would be edible because it's just too much acid. It was too happy to produce, making a lot of acid, so it's like too sour to eat. But I mean, you add in more bacteria, so it's a faster fermentation, probably. So yeah, I mean, you definitely smell the acidic. If you start smelling alcohol, you probably have yeast contamination. You don't want that.
Mm.
So sometimes if you leave it for too long or the fermentation wasn't too successful, for sauerkraut, you could have problem with yeast. Usually they can produce enzymes like pectinase that chews on the cabbage cell wall to make them mushy. So you don't want
Mm.
mushy sauerkraut, and that's not
Yeah,
good.
that's
I think
that's
that's
not good.
what their quality control is like. Then you have probably yeast, and they of course will make ethanol. So sometimes your sauerkraut smells like ethanol. No,
That's
um,
not going to be good either.
no, not alcoholic ferment. Um, but
That'd be
yeah,
wild.
yeah, I feel like most of what I smell in sauerkraut is the acid, which to me, I like it because I'm
Hmm.
used to working with lactic acid bacteria. That's how they smell. They smell normal to me. But if you're not used to it, it could be really strong. Um,
Yeah.
it's it's like stinky and stuff. Like I
Yeah,
mean,
some
there's
people think
other.
it's stinky. I think it's like I like the smell of fermented food, so
I know it's just food to me.
yeah.
Um, but I think also the bacteria could produce other compounds as well from their metabolism. I don't have exact the chemical. I kind of forget, but that could contribute to their overall like smell as well. Um, for kombucha. I mean, it's kind of hard because I like those smells. Um,
Yeah.
it might smell more vinegar to me. I mean, that's what they're making. They're making acetic acid bacteria are making vinegar. So in the kombucha, and you could probably have the yeast that could be making more of the smell as well from the SCOBY. Um, yeah, I would say it's mostly acidic smell, uh, to me.
Yeah, no, kombucha is kind of interesting because it's just like tea and like sugar and then like the SCOBY. So,
hmm
um, yeah, no, it's an interesting. It's like I actually want to question like the first person who like discovered like kombucha. Like he just saw like this massive floating thing on top of like a tea. I'm like, oh, let's just drink it. You know, it's such an interesting thing.
Yeah, I really wonder what the first person that ever tried fermented food it was thinking. Like
Yeah.
I was learning that like for yogurt or fermented milk, it was just someone left like milk in like an animal skinned bladder for the
Mm.
container for too long and it started fermenting and then
And
they
making
probably
yogurt.
ate it, make yogurt or something sour. I'm like, oh, I would try something sour. Like that was yeah. And I think different region, like different geographical region has their own food based on like what's available, the
Hmm.
crops and to produce them. But they all kind of started fermenting, like I feel like almost like simultaneously everywhere. Like I just kind of
Hmm.
curious like how they like I don't know. Like the first person that had like fermented fish sauce, like how did
Hmm. They just got a bunch of fish and let it sit there, and then there was that liquid that came up, and we're like,
yeah.
this tastes really good.
Yeah, I would
Or
imagine.
like soy sauce or
hmm
um kimchi's or sauerkraut. Like
hmm
it's just such a, or like
Yeah.
kefir
hmm
or kombucha. It's like all of these different things.
hmm
It just sat there
Yeah.
like a controlled environment, and
Mm.
somebody was like, let's eat this. And then
Yeah.
it just benefited, you know, it was actually
hmm
really good.
Yeah.
So there's like so many different like fermented food. I think it's like huge now. Like
Mm.
probiotic sodas and like
Mm.
fermented foods in the grocery stores. It's a big
hmm
like marketing selling um
hmm
yeah, like you said, like
Yeah.
the term gut health is like super
hmm
popular marketing term now and
Yeah. Yeah. Even probiotic like
hmm
label, which I would say that I've seen that on like sauerkraut fermented food labels, but it's not really used properly,
mm,
because like for something to become considered a probiotic, you need to really define it at the strain level. So you need to sequence its genome. You need to do clinical trials to show that it has a health benefit
mm,
for that particular strain of the bacteria. And so, like for example, for the probiotic supplements, like you kind of on the box, you know exactly what the name of it is and
hmm,
the genus and species and the strain name. Just labeling fermented food as probiotic, unless you know which strain was used to make it, or is added to, and then you have clinical trial data showing that it is giving the benefits.
mm,
I wouldn't say that it's probiotic, because there's a lot more like steps to prove that it is probiotic. Like for example, the if you have kimchi that says probiotic and it doesn't tell you which bacteria is added, it's in there, uh,
hmm,
we can say that's probiotic because the live microbes there, we haven't sequenced everything. We don't know what microbes are there. Uh, I mean, you guys, yes, you can say. containing live cultures. That's more general and more correct because they're likely to contain live cultures. I think sometimes for yogurt, for example, the manufacturer would test up to 13 days of shelf life, whether they can still find live bacteria there. And then they say, okay, this contains live culture on the shelf for like a month. Then they can put
Mm.
the label there. But unless they know the probiotic strain, like they actually tested that, they may not be able to put the term probiotic on their container. I know Europe has like different, even stricter rules and regulations for what you can put and not on the container. So each country has their own like regulations. I think for the US, I've seen probiotic everywhere, and I'm
Yeah,
questioning,
they
are
kind
you
of just
really
slap that
probiotic?
probiotic thing on everything. Um,
Yeah.
have you heard of like Yakult, like the little
Yep.
yogurt shots? What is that? So it seems like it's, or when you taste it, it's just like a sweet milky,
It's
sugary
fermented
thing.
milk.
Fermented milk.
So it's also lactic acid fermentation. It's
Mm.
actually that one, the strain Lacticaceae bacillus, I think Casei shirota, it is a probiotic strain. And they use
Mm.
that strain to ferment the milk. The group in Japan has done a lot of like clinical studies, I think, also for that strain and also the milk, Yakult fermented milk drink,
Hmm.
to show benefits. I don't quite remember exactly what the health benefits. I need to look into the literature again. I focus a lot more on the plant-based ferments than dairy-based, but there are a
Hmm.
lot more clinical study support for yogurt and fermented milk
Hmm.
compared to any other fermented food. Well, kimchi also has a lot, but I
Kimchi
think
seems very
dairy.
complex though, because there's like so many different like layers to kimchi. Like you have those chilies, you have those Korean pears, or
Hmm.
the fruit that you're using to like sweeten it. You could use the garlic, the ginger, or green onions, or whatever you put on
Hmm.
there, like fish sauce. It's like, because so like your study was just sauerkraut or cabbage and salt, and then
Yeah.
when you like want to break down kimchi, you're just like, there's like 50 different things going on
Hmm.
here. And then
Yeah.
I'm like, it was already so complex for two ingredients. I can't imagine what it would be for like kimchi. That's like a huge research project.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, there's um, a lot of study looking at their metabolites with
Hmm.
metabolomics of kimchi. But yeah, like depending how long you ferment them, what temperature you put them in, usually it's a cooler fermentation, I would say. And I
Hmm.
also read a paper that they were fermenting it for 500 days. Um,
Whoa.
so it's
Is that
like
the one
all
where they dig
changes.
it underground and then put it in like the Whoa.
Yeah. So it's there's a lot of variation and different styles I feel for kimchi for the fermentation. Um, yeah, and I don't remember there's definitely human clinical trials for kimchi that was in Korea populations. That was they were mentioning like improved blood glucose levels and like waist circumference, BMI. But again, like it's for Korean populations, so it's
Hmm.
nice to see what the kimchi consumption would bring health effects for other populations around the world. I think UC Davis, I think we are in the process of planning a clinical study in for kimchi consumption for US
Ooh.
individuals
Whoa.
at UC
That'll be
Davis
cool.
and also I think in parallel Korea, which King's World Institute of Kimchi, WeKim, will also do a parallel clinical study as well with their population. Uh, we'll see how that
Wow.
goes.
If you ever need a kimchi maker, you know to call. I'm down.
For taster, will
Yeah.
be in the clinical trial.
I'd be down to participate in that study. That'll be fun. That's cool. That's so cool,
Hmm.
actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was joking with my professor that maybe we should have World Institute of Sauerkraut, but
That'll be sick.
that might be in Europe though. I don't know.
That'd be cool. We could set up a little base in Germany. I think it's Oktoberfest right now, right?
Yeah,
So, yeah, it would be fitting.
sauerkraut and sausage and on
Yeah.
bread.
Let's see. Let's see what other questions I have for you. Or any other things that you want to add to your findings of your research with sauerkraut?
Yeah, I think people tend to ask, so how much do you need to eat to have some
Okay. Oh, that's
benefits?
a yeah.
Um, it's also a complicated question, I would say, because we did an in vitro model, we didn't do an animal study.
Hmm.
So we don't really know when you eat the sauerkraut, how much the metabolites actually reaches your small intestine or large intestine,
Hmm.
and whether those metabolites can get absorbed in enough quantities, to have a benefit. There was a study it's a small pilot study that they fed individual sauerkraut and they did measure some of those metabolites like phenolactic acid in their blood. So they definitely it's able to get absorbed, I would say. And we don't really have direct like we again because I'm not sure like how much of it actually gets to the active site.
Hmm.
But I would say that like a serving size a day should be fine. Like maybe a tablespoonful as a topping or side dish.
Hmm.
Um,
That's
it
how it's like
definitely helps with
traditionally done,
fiber
right?
and getting more
Yeah.
vegetables in. That's always nice.
Hmm.
Um, like I mean, I wouldn't drink the whole juice a bottle a day or something. Like we don't really
Oh
know
no,
how
that's
that's
yeah, it's
gonna
a bit
affect.
excessive, but like when you see
Um,
it like served at restaurants and stuff, or if you get like uh a sausage at
mhm.
I don't know in Europe and they serve like
Yeah,
sauerkraut, it's usually what you're saying, just like a tablespoon or
yeah,
a couple grams worth, and then
hmm
because you're not eating the entire jar like it's a salad, it's just
hmm
always usually just the side dish.
yeah,
Even if you go to like Korean barbecue, you'll have like a
hmm
little
yeah,
plate of kimchi.
kimchi. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say treating a side dish is good. Um, and I feel like eating a mixture of fermented food and adding that to your diet is great. It's really a nice
Hmm.
source of live
Like
microbes that are beneficial
fiber.
and fiber.
Hmm.
We kind of with industrialization and like we keep everything like food processing super clean, but we
Hmm.
also lose a lot of those live microbe diversity. And I think that has been correlated with like the increased onset or increased occurrence of like autoimmune diseases, allergies,
Yeah.
because when you're exposed to this a lot of live microbe, your body learn to tolerate them. Like they
Hmm.
learn to not to overreact. But if you don't have that, your body overreacts to everything, even your own cells. And
Hmm.
so I think in general, having more fermented food in your diet with those live microbes, with yogurts and kimchi, sauerkraut, I think they're beneficial just on its own to kind of help calming down your immune system. Like ideally, you want to do that earlier on when you're growing up.
Yeah.
But it's never too late, I would say. And I know people taking probiotic supplements that can help to introduce those live beneficial microbes. And I mean, they also taste good. Like just
Yeah, that tastes
add a bunch of
amazing.
them to different things, and they have their also own benefits as well. You do need to probably figure out and try a bunch of things to see how your body reacts to them. Um, it's like also some people might just like, certain food more than others.
Hmm. That's super interesting because like yeah, the food process is really clean because like the they have to keep those facilities very clean and at such a high standard. And
hmm
then so actually when we were basically every Peace Corps volunteer knows this. When you go in country, you're gonna like the first 2 weeks you are like your stomach hurts. You're not doing you're still getting used to the environment
hmm
and I think it's just we're not used to those like those bugs in the air
Yeah,
or those what do you,
microbes,
those microbes. Yeah, it's like
microorganisms.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, also travel or diarrhea, and also with
Hmm.
stress of traveling. Like, I think there's
Hmm.
probably probiotics you can bring with you that helps your gut kind of maybe recover a little bit faster
Hmm.
as well from traveling and the diarrhea. Yeah, like every time I go back to China to visit or something, it's always
You
like,
start off with a stomach bug, and
yeah,
then
and it
after a
stays the
couple
whole time.
days, oh yeah, no, it depends. Like, but like that was like one thing that I learned or that I tried to do when I was in Timor,
Mm,
'cause they're not gonna have like a probiotic that you can buy from the store, and if they do have it, it's like very expensive. So
mm,
I had like these like little projects that I would have going on at my host family's house, and I would get a bunch of mangoes and just try and ferment them.
yeah.
Like I would just put like salt and
Hmm.
mangoes in a jar.
Hmm.
And sometimes
Yeah.
it was funny because like um I would like put it in a jar and I didn't have like I would just screw it on so tight. And then my host mom was like, Mona, look at the fridge. And it's just like mango and glass everywhere. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Or I remember this one time I tried to open up this like mango fermentation thing that I had,
Hmm.
and we opened it, and then all of the all the mango chunks went all over the ceiling, and they're like,
Oh,
"You're gonna clean that up." So, but no, it
yeah.
was good because it like definitely helped
Mm.
like your stomach and stuff. But
Hmm.
um yeah,
Yeah, you need to let the gas out.
yeah,
A lot of,
gas
I
it every
think,
time.
yeah, lactic acid fermentation, some of the microbes produce CO2.
Hmm.
So that's why you see occasionally bubbling and stuff also with your kimchi. That's why I
Hmm.
think the kimchi from the store, the lid is designed that you let the gas out, but also
Mm.
keep it closed. But yeah, otherwise you're like,
Yeah, or you just
well,
your glass container breaks,
yeah, yeah.
or the
Does
airlocks. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah. Does Timu have their own fermented food like locally, like that they from your
Mm. Oh,
yeah
fermented foods in Timor.
yeah.
Um, I don't really remember. I think it was just me making my own like really weird
Mm.
experiments. I made one for my host brother actually. It was mint leaves and like sugar, and then we put it in a jar,
Mhm.
and then it was like all bubbly and fermenty kind of, and then
Yeah.
we just drank it, and it was like so good. It tasted like a mint soda. It was actually really good.
Yeah.
Um,
So it kind of sounds like pine needle soda. I saw a couple video, like they would just
mm,
put pine needle into a soda bottle, and
hmm.
just like put sugar in it, and they kind of made the carbonated drink. It's like,
Oh, interesting. That
yeah,
sounds good. That sounds kind of tasty.
yeah. I mean, I don't know how it tastes
Um,
like, but I can't imagine. You feel like it's almost like you're making kombucha just with different types of
yeah,
tea. Or
yeah. Like instead of like a traditional black tea leaf, it's
mhm.
like
Yeah,
any leaf. Yeah.
yeah.
But fermented foods out there, I would say for Timor, the closest thing that I could think of is like a sambal. Sambal is like that chili. I don't think it's fermented. You probably can ferment it, but it's literally just like a chili sauce.
Mm,
Um, it's a spicy chili sauce with like tomatoes. It's like a spicy
mm,
tomato sauce, yeah.
mm,
And I think that
mm,
has kind of like a fermenty, funkiness to
mm,
it. I mean, they have like
mm,
soy sauce and fish sauce and stuff out there
mm. Oh
too,
yeah,
but
yeah.
um, hmm, yeah, it's not as common as you would like think, but the crazy thing is it's like we're all sick and like just not used to like the food, and then
Hmm.
they're like, "Oh, I feel great," you know? So they're just used to the different like
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, environments.
environment.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it's really interesting traveling and
Mm.
feeling out the environment and all the different foods. It's all different. So
Hmm.
yeah. But no, we should definitely try and figure out a way to make like traveling to other countries like less less stomach pains.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah. So we covered like a lot of things. Or yeah, let's talk about just a basic or not kombucha, sauerkraut. So what's like the golden like ratio for like
Mm.
sauerkraut?
Well, I kind of just took whatever recipe online.
I
Well,
said it was like two
actually,
to 3% by
yeah, I
weight.
use 2%. I think sometimes 3% salt could be too salty.
Mm.
Or like Yeah, there's my gosh, there's some, was it FDA? USDA, I think they have like published recipe that have been tested in the lab
Hmm.
to make sure like more the safety aspect. I want to say they probably use more 3% salt.
Yeah,
Um,
just to keep the environment like
yeah, because
everything.
salt is the lactic acid bacteria tend to be a little bit more salt tolerant compared to any potential foodborne pathogens that could be in your cabbage, your environment. So having salt there will prevent the growth of the pathogens and letting the lactic acid bacteria grow. So that's a way that the salt helps to kind of improve the safety of the
Hmm.
fermentation. But of course, if it's too salty, it might be too salty to eat.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think there are some recipe that have been like verified and in lab, and also I think sensory studies. I don't remember. Was probably FDA. No. Um, have you heard of the Master Preserver program?
Master Preserver Program. No,
Master Food
I'm
Master Food Preserver program. So they're like community, like they're like food fermentation enthusiasts that kind of goes around like different county. Like they offer kind of workshops to local communities to how to make fermented food at home.
mm,
Um, and I think there's one in Orange County. There should be in each county. Like there was like kind of more community project based programs. Um, I don't know if they have a website or not. I feel like they would have a website. I think there was previous UC extension like professors would go to like the Master Food Preserver program like kind of events and trying to kind of give workshops and information. Um, And I think some of the website I sent you has those three seminars of how to
yeah, I
make
was watching
sauerkraut.
those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Those
think
are awesome.
yeah, I think some of the audience will be like in the Master Food Preserver program as well.
Yeah, that's
Um,
cool. That'd be a
yeah.
fun like project, just like teaching people how to ferment and like,
Hmm.
you know, preserve their food. It's such an
Hmm.
interesting thing about like food fermentation because it was like probably birthed from like I mean they also wanted to preserve food. Also wartime that also kind
Hmm.
of like helped people like preserve what kind of like food rations that they had. So
Hmm.
just preserving food is like such a important role for
Hmm.
like humans in society. So
Yeah, yeah. And now
and like
especially,
culture.
yeah, in
Mhm.
the culture, yeah. And now I think also trying to reduce food waste to make
Oh, for
things last
sure.
longer a little bit, maybe more sustainability focused. It's kind of, yeah.
Yeah, definitely for sustainability because I
Mm-hmm.
mean there's a lot of food waste. If you can like create like a cleaner food chain starting from the ground up, then yeah,
Mm-hmm.
less waste and
Yeah.
healthier people, healthier food. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a great thing. Uh, yeah, I don't know if I have any other more questions, but what is your favorite food to eat with like sauerkraut on the topic with of sauerkraut in your research?
Um, I feel like this might be a bit weird. So I eat savory oatmeal for breakfast.
Oh, that's
And I
cool.
like to use sauerkraut or kimchi as a topping. So
Whoa.
my savory oatmeal I basically treat it as like a porridge because I
Like it's
make
kind of like a
it,
kanji kind of.
yeah, kanji, yeah. So
Yeah.
I have black bean, garbanzo bean, different types of
Mm.
like chia seeds, pumpkin seed. I have occasionally well actually I put salsa in it.
Whoa. That sounds
It's
pretty good.
very weird mixture, but it goes very well with something sour or spicy. So that's why I like that. That's how I eat my sauerkraut and kimchi in the morning. I just
Wow.
a little bit serving of as a topping for my
The
savory
savory
oatmeal.
oatmeals. No, that's a cool thing. That's very cool, actually.
Yeah.
And then one last message for the people, about anything. about your
Uh,
research or food science or yeah.
uh, well, just try to incorporate fermented foods, different types, into your daily diet, and yeah, just stay healthy.
Yeah, okay, that's a some solid advice. And fermented foods are super delicious, so
Ooh.
that shouldn't be too hard. And if you need to make it, it's literally salt and cabbage.
Or
And
salt and
a
fruit.
clean jar, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I think there's definitely books and things, videos out there
Hmm.
trying to kind of takes you through the process of how to sterilize and boil your jars and
Hmm.
everything and making sure things are clean. Um, but yeah, it's like
Yeah, cool. So if you want people to get to connect with you or any other thing that you want to put towards the end.
um yeah, you can probably kind of contact me on LinkedIn. Look
Okay,
for my
cool.
lab website. I mean, not my lab,
Yeah.
but my professor's lab that I'm part of, website. And I think we have, oh, we have a Instagram page
Oh,
where
cool.
we do kind of traditional ferment posts with some of the undergraduate research assistants helping with that. So we're EAT-LAC, so
Yeah.
evaluating and, oh my gosh, EA, and testing lacto ferments across the world. So I can send you the link
Yeah,
and
definitely
have more people follow.
attach that onto the blog for sure. So
Hmm.
that's pretty cool. So I
Yeah.
think I mean, any final messages? That's pretty much the interview, I'd
Yeah.
say. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's my first interview ever. I feel
No, that's
like
cool.
all
That's
over
so
the
cool.
place.
We're breaking ground here. That's cool.